Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Massive splash in the transfer portal as former five-star quarterback from the 2023 cycle, Dante Moore, officially enters his name into the transfer portal. And for those who are the recruiting nerds, we all remember Dante Moore, his recruitment coming out of that 2023 class as being one of the more talented quarterbacks that we've seen the last couple of years. He ends up committing to UCLA after 1 year. Out at UCLA, will be looking for a new program. Want to get into Dante Moore, what he brings to the football field, and more importantly, what are the best programs, best fits for Dante Moore at his new stop? Before we do, just want to say thank you to you guys. The transfer portal has been absolutely crazy the last couple of days, and it hasn't even officially opened. Opens up on December 4th. Going to be doing my best to cover all the roster moves that we see across college football. Cannot thank you guys enough for all the support. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. I got a list of 4 or 5 schools that I'll be talking about as potential suitors for Dante Moore. That being said, there's going to be a lot more suitors. We'd love to hear you guys in the comment section in potential fits for Dante Moore. Without further ado, let's get into it. All right, talking about Dante Moore first. This is a guy that coming out of high school was kind of considered one of the most college-ready quarterbacks in that class. Big body, big frame, and absolute dripping with arm talent. This is a guy that can rip it in there when he needs to. He can layer it in with touch when he needs to. And you look at his freshman year at UCLA, you have to remind yourself, he was a true freshman. Threw for 1,600 yards, only a 53% completion percentage, 11 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. But I don't think that stat line does it justice when you watch Dante Moore and you watch the film. This is a guy that puts together NFL throws consistently on the football field. And I think there were time periods at UCLA kind of buzzing through the film that he was just trying to do a little too much. And then you look at the UCLA offense, the pass protection just wasn't there. And when you combine an inexperienced quarterback, no matter how talented they are, with bad protection, the game's already going fast for a true freshman at the quarterback position. It doesn't need to go any faster with an offensive line that struggles in pass protection. You look at UCLA on the offensive line, over 152 pressures given up. It just wasn't a great situation for a true freshman to be in. I think the numbers are not reflective of how good Dante Moore can be as a college football quarterback. If you're asking me right now, and we have some loaded names in the portal, guys like Tyler Van Dyke and Will Howard, Riley Leonard, this is probably the most sought-after quarterback that is in the portal. Keep in mind, he's going to have at least 2 more years of eligibility before the NFL draft. Time to get into some potential suitors for Dante Moore. And the first school I want to go to, and a school that we've talked about Dante Moore going to a couple of weeks ago, that's the Miami Hurricanes. They have a massive question mark at the quarterback position. Tyler Van Dyke enters the transfer portal. Emory Williams goes down with a really ugly-looking arm injury that you're not really sure how long that's going to keep him out. And at the end of the day, he was still a true freshman for the Miami Hurricanes. And then Ja'Cory Brown, who's going to start the bowl game, so we might get a good feel of what he has. But I don't know if a ton of Miami fans feel necessarily confident that he's going to be back with the Hurricanes to start the 2024 year. So you look at a quarterback spot that's opened up. I don't know if there's a bigger opening than for the Miami Hurricanes. And you look at the attractiveness of the quarterback position or as a landing spot for a quarterback for the Miami Hurricanes. I think it's one of the more attractive programs to go to, right? You're going to have really good offensive line play, right? Francis Mauigoa, Pancake Contra. There is a very good offensive line that's in place for the Miami Hurricanes. There's a ton of guys on the outside that are going to be playmakers for the Miami Hurricanes. And quite frankly, I'm a fan of Shannon Dawson. I get there were some growing pains with that offense under Shannon Dawson, but you go back to his time at Houston with guys like Clayton Tune. He's shown that he can develop quarterbacks. And you go look at what Dante Moore said as he's hitting the transfer portal. He wants to go to a place that develops quarterbacks. And I think Shannon Dawson can be that kind of guy for Dante Moore. I think Tyler Van Dyke just lost his confidence within that offense. You take the Miami Hurricanes and you add a quarterback like Dante Moore, and if he reaches his potential, this Miami team is going to be competing for an ACC championship and arguably one of the better teams in college football. We've kind of said this over and over. This Hurricanes roster is one of the more talented rosters that you see across college football. And you add a quarterback like the caliber of Dante Moore, I think that one would make a ton of sense for Dante Moore to consider. Next program I want to talk about, the Oregon Ducks. And this is a program that he was committed to, was ready to sign with the Oregon Ducks. UCLA comes in late and poaches Dante Moore. You look at the quarterback position for the Oregon Ducks. Obviously, Bo Nix heading to the NFL after the season, putting together a phenomenal season. I wouldn't be surprised if Dante Moore is looking at that Oregon program and saying, look at what Bo Nix has done the last 2 years at Oregon, but potentially a Heisman Trophy winner. Dante Moore can kind of pick up right where he left off, Bo Nix left off in this Oregon offense. You look at the quarterback room around him, Ty Thompson, kind of a growing concern that Ty Thompson might not be turning into that guy that's going to be leading this Oregon Ducks offense. You have Austin Novosad, who's the same class as Dante Moore. I'm going to be honest. I think the Oregon Ducks are saying we will take Dante Moore over Austin Novosad. Austin Novosad, kind of a pivot play for the Oregon Ducks in that 2023 class. Will Stein has done a phenomenal job in this offense. It is one of the most quarterback-friendly offenses that you see across college football. The work that he's done with Bo Nix the last year, the Oregon Ducks and Dante Moore, you talk about Dante Moore committing to the Oregon Ducks, being the quarterback one in the 2024 year with how that offense looks right now. That would be a very clear and kind of an appealing landing spot for Dante Moore. A couple other programs I want to mention. Ohio State. This is a program that has loaded in the quarterback room, right? Guys like Kyle McCord, Devin Brown, Lincoln Kinos. You have Aaron Nolan coming in as a true freshman. At the end of the day, I get if you take in Dante Moore and you're Ohio State, it's a loaded quarterback room. You're probably going to have 2 or 3 guys transfer out, but I think we saw, and Kyle McCord is not the quarterback to run this Ohio State offense. And Dante Moore comes in. What did he say? I want to go to a place where I get developed. They just put CJ Stroud into the NFL. They put Justin Fields into the NFL, Dwayne Haskins into the NFL. This is a Ohio State program that's developed quarterbacks at a very high level. And you know, when you go to Ohio State, you're going to have some of the best talent around you. I get it. The quarterback room is loaded. I think Dante Moore would come in and be the day one most talented quarterback in that room. And so Ohio State, I think, is a good landing spot. Next program I want to talk about is Michigan State. And this is a kid from Michigan. You look at Michigan State, and I get a lot of people scratching their head at Michigan State for the 5-star transfer quarterback, Dante Moore. You go back to his recruiting process, Dante Moore, there was a lot of traction that Dante Moore was going to commit to Michigan State in the first place. Now, obviously, Mel Tucker out, Jonathan Smith in. I think that argument makes it even a more attractive spot for Dante Moore, because you look at Jonathan Smith and his experience developing quarterbacks just last year, taking massive strides with DJU. If you're Dante Moore, you're looking at that Michigan State program saying, okay, Caden Hauser transferred out, Sam Levitt transferred out, Noah Kim transferred out. I don't know if they have a scholarship quarterback on that roster. So you look at Michigan State as a potential landing spot. Day one starter for the Michigan State Spartans. You're going to play for a head coach that has done a phenomenal job developing quarterbacks. I get it. Michigan State might not be the obvious spot for a 5-star quarterback that hit the transfer portal, but there are some reasons that it makes sense. Last one I want to talk about, if he wants to stay in the California weather, that is USC, right? We all know Lincoln Riley, the mastermind at developing quarterbacks. Caleb Williams sounds like he'll be going to the NFL. You got to find a quarterback for the 2024 season. How amazing would it be for USC fans to have Caleb Williams for 2 years, and then, oh yeah, you flip the page and you get Dante Moore for 2 years as well. It's certainly an attractive spot for any quarterback. We said this heading in. USC, if they want to go get a quarterback in the transfer portal, like, they're going to have their pickings, because there's going to be a lot of quarterbacks that want to go play for that Lincoln Riley offense, and this would be one of those guys. And we said USC is probably going to be selective, right? Because you have a guy like Miller Boss, you have a guy like Malachi Nelson. I wouldn't be surprised if Lincoln Riley goes after Dante Moore. And this is a guy that has starting experience already at the Power 5 level. You're moving to the Big Ten. USC would make some sense as well. And at the end of the day, like, you're talking about one of the more talented quarterbacks in all of college football, especially out of that 2023 class. Plenty of years of eligibility left. There are going to be a lot of programs that are blowing up Dante Moore's phones. Kind of talked about a few programs that would make sense, but at the end of the day, he would make sense at a lot of schools because he's going to elevate pretty much whatever offense he chooses. Would love to hear from you guys in the comment section at potential landing spots for Dante Moore. Massive news coming out of the transfer portal. More to come on this one. Appreciate you guys rocking with the fellas. If you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all